Yo, what's up, YouTube? So I just wanted to jump on here real quick and make a quick video of my experience with the Harbor Freight dust collector machine. Now, for quick disclosure, this is just my experience with it. Honestly, I haven't even used the thing. I've turned it on twice, and I had a major issue with it. Basically, what ended up happening was I bought this thing, right? And I was building it to be a two-stage collector, which I have right here, right? I went and spent the money on a filter, which, mind you, I have a great connection on the filter. You can get those for 90 bucks, full size. Also the trash can, the hose stand, everything. Built it for this router table that I haven't even used yet because this thing just came out the shop. Let me explain. Well, when I first put the thing together, and this is something that I definitely recommend that when you're buying a product from Harbor Freight, is to make sure that you try it out first. Test it out, run it through its course before you go and modify it. Because the problem is, when I first bought this thing, right, I only used it twice. And when I mean by use it, I mean by turned it on. When I first put it all together as one whole piece before I modified it, the minute I went to turn it on, it started buzzing. Now, in my ear, it kind of sounded more like something was seized up and it wasn't spinning. But according to the internet, that sound that you're hearing is a buzzing. So it started buzzing for like maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then it finally kicked over. So I'm like, okay, that's strange. But I'm thinking, okay, this thing is new. Maybe it just needs to break in. I don't know. I've never had a dust collector, so I really didn't know what to expect when I heard it. But I should have took that as a sign of something was wrong. So no harm, no foul. I'm like, okay, great. It runs. I shut it off. I go in the house, grab me some water real quick, come back out. Let me turn it back on again just to make sure. Turn it back on. Kind of did that slight little buzz, but it kicked over. I'm like, all right, maybe that's just what it does. I don't know. Like I said, I never had one of these before, so I really didn't know what to expect. Well, after I heard that, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, you know what? I can go ahead and start modifying this thing. And that was probably my number one mistake when it came to this, is that once you modify something, you can't take it back. I tried calling them. I tried calling Central Machinery about it. They would not take this thing back. And what ended up happening was when I went to turn it on the third time, it buzzed and it never kicked over. It just buzzed, 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 and then like after 8 seconds, well, not even 8 seconds, maybe like 4 seconds, it tripped the breaker. Now, mind you, I just went and had a 120 breaker, not a 120, but a 20 amp breaker installed. So I knew that couldn't have been the issue. Mind you, this thing is rated for a 15 amp breaker, so I knew just to having 20 shouldn't be an issue. Tripped the breaker. So I turned it off, did it again. Turned it off, turned it back on, did the same thing again. Called Harbor Freight, told the lady about it. Now, this is how I know that customer service ain't worth a shit. Excuse my French, but it really isn't. Because the lady that I was talking to was like, well, maybe a little bit of dust or something got in there on the turbine. Well, first of all, ma'am, this is a dust collector motor. I would think that it would be built to withstand just a little bit of dust, if it got in it. Second of all, ma'am, this thing does not have a turbine. It has an impeller. There's a difference between a turbine and an impeller. Well, my guy is telling me that it's a turbine. Ma'am, it is not a turbine. It's an impeller. But we had this conversation for about 5 minutes. Long story short, after an hour of going back and forth about trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing, basically, she wouldn't take it back because it had been modified. What had been modified was that by the time this thing really stopped going, I had already put this on there, I put the filter on there, the bracket is on here. I mean, and down there, I already got everything put on there. So yeah, it's kind of hard to take it back at this point. So now I'm stuck with $250 dust collector that I can't even use. All because those little telltale signs when I first got it, I should have paid attention to. But like I said, I did not know. I was not aware that that was a sound that was not normal. Now I know. Well, go to find out, when I went to took this cover off, a little bit of water came out. Like from down there, I'm like, the hell, this thing didn't get wet. It's been in my garage. How'd it get wet? Go to find out, this is what happened. This capacitor busted. Don't know how it happened. Couldn't have happened when I had it. But the fluid that's on the inside of that is what was leaking out, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking on the interwebs and YouTube and everything, and I'm like, oh shit. So you know what? I'll just replace a capacitor. That's easy, right? Can't be much more than 10, 15, 20 bucks. All right, so I go and I buy another capacitor, right? Cool. Go and buy one, thinking like, oh man, this is gonna work, good to go. Ran for about 8 seconds just fine. Then that little center part right there, that little relief, see if you can see it, blew out. Scared the hell out of me. It blew out. Then it stopped working again. So I'm like, you know what? The hell with this. I'm not gonna sit up here and spend all my money buying capacitors. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I really don't know much about electrical motors. You know, car motors, automotive motors, things like that. I'm good. Electrical motor, I don't really know much about. So I took this thing to a electric motor place, and this is all they told me what was wrong with this thing. Collect the motor, repair a centrifugal switch, and replace bad loose fitting bearing. I have no idea what they have to do with the damn capacitors blowing out, but that's what they said. So now I'm $250 on this thing that has never been fucking used, $150 on a bill to fix the damn thing. So now I'm at $400. Now, one may sit back and say, well, you're still cheaper than, you know, any other brand that's maybe out there. Maybe that's so, but damn, the headache that came with this, I don't know. I don't know if that's fucking worth it. You know, not to mention, you know, they already told me that the capacitor that they put in here is slightly smaller than the one that came with it, so it may happen again. And I'm like, I done spent $150 on this damn thing. You telling me that I might have that problem again? You know, granted, now I'll turn it on real quick. Now it's a little violent. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's kind of loud. It really shakes and moves. So I won't turn it on long, but you will be able to hear it for yourself just how it sounds starting up. So, all right, this thing, like I said, it's a little violent. So. So yeah, it does come on. It works now, but yeah, it was a bit of a headache. So my word to the wise is this: if you're going to take something and modify it, please, please, please make sure it works. Make sure it works for an extended period of time. Because, you know, in truth be told, I really don't fault Harbor Freight for not taking it back. Because, I mean, let's be honest. If you went and bought a car off the showroom floor, right, and you're making payments on it, or now, matter of fact, if you pay cash for it, I just say you pay cash for it, and you go and you paint it and put rims on it, and 2 days later the motor blows up, you think they're going to take that car back? No, they're not. You know, you've already modified it. So I get it. I just wish that they would have had a little bit of empathy for the fact I just purchased this damn thing, and that the problem that I had was not that, but it was rather this. But they couldn't just replace this without bringing everything else back. So I was kind of stuck at that particular point. So like I said, point is, make sure your items work, especially from Harbor Freight. Take them through their courses, through their paces, make sure they're good to go before you go and modify them. Because once you modify them, ain't nothing else you can do about it. But as in my case, get a $150 fat bill in fixing the damn thing and hadn't even used it, you know. So yeah, hopefully this helps someone. Hopefully this kind of clears up, you know, any kind of misconceptions about it. I mean, I think the thing is good. When it did come on, it sucks. It sucks pretty damn good. You know, I bought, well, the wife, she bought me this nice fucking router table and everything, and I got all the pieces and connections and everything else, but I hadn't been able to use the thing. So as soon as I get off of here, I'm gonna connect this thing back up, put it back on the stand, run it through the router, and see what happens. But hopefully this helps someone else out there. Let me know.